Mission Impossible Fallout is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who is actually the very first director in the Mission Impossible series to direct 2 of the movies.
And this movie stars Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Sean Harris, Rebecca Ferguson, and Henry Cavill. This is a movie that Henry Cavill kept his mustache for.
Yeah.
In order to get CGI out in Justice League.
It better win an Academy Award.
Yeah, his mustache. His mustache is going to win the Academy Award. Now, before we get into this review, I think it's very important to talk about just this franchise in general. Now, I'm not going to lie, I haven't seen the first 2.
I haven't seen the first 3.
Yeah, so I can't really say much about those. I have heard the second one is the only bad one. But if we're going over just these movies, they've kind of done like the unspeakable. Which right now is like the 6th movie, I believe.
Yeah,
and it's still like a really good movie because this movie is so good, like surprisingly good.
Yeah, especially since this isn't like a cinematic universe where like the Marvel movies, how they have like different movies have different characters and everything. It's like the same core characters throughout the whole movies. And it's like, you think by now it'd run out of steam, but they're still like cranking them out pretty well.
Yeah, and they're all really well directed. This movie, from the trailer, I practically knew it was going to be good. The first trailer especially, was fantastic.
Yeah, that trailer is probably one of my favorite like movies of this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and so watching that, I was like, this movie's going to be good, but, you know, it may not be as good as the last one, may not be as good as the one before, but it's going to be good. This movie was probably, it might be, honestly, better than the last one to me.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember too much about the 5th one, but I do remember I liked it. I remember more about the 4th one.
Yeah.
And I remember I loved that one. I remember I loved the 5th one too. I just can't remember too much about it, but this one I loved too.
It's opposite for me. I don't really remember the 4th one a whole bunch, but I remember the 5th one quite a bit.
Which I'm sort of mad that I didn't rewatch the 5th one because I feel like it would have helped me out. Because a lot of this movie, I was sort of like trying to put the pieces together, trying to remember what happened in the 5th one. Because, like we said earlier, this movie is the first time that the director has directed 2 movies, which Christopher McQuarrie directed the 5th one and he directed this one. So it's like a direct sequel to the 5th one. Which the others haven't really been. They've been sort of like stand-alone movies. Yeah. But this one was a direct sequel, so I wish I would have rewatched the 5th one before I saw this one.
Yeah. To me, the best thing about this movie was this movie just felt like I was watching like something real that was actually being filmed. Like it actually felt real. Like unlike a lot of movies that just don't have these brutal fight scenes. Which, like, you'll watch these movies that have really good fight scenes. You'll watch these Marvel movies that have really good fight scenes.
Skyscraper.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But they never feel fight scenes, especially these PG-13 movies that try to keep it safe. And actually, yeah, like I'm not. It's a bad comparison, but like, they really don't really try to go into that brutality too often.
Right.
You know, this one felt real. I almost felt like I was feeling the punches.
And not only the punch and the fighting scenes looked awesome, the special effects looked amazing as well. Which I know they didn't use a lot of green screen in this movie because Tom Cruise likes to do a lot of his own stunts, and just in general, I think these movies don't use green screens that much. But like anytime that there's like explosion or like high end type of stunts, it just looks so real. Everything looked like amazing in this movie.
Yeah, because this movie really, you can tell if there is CGI, which it probably is a few times, they really use it sparingly.
Right.
You know, and it really the movie just feels real, and it's really brutal. Also, this movie actually is pretty funny. I actually like a lot of the jokes in this movie.
Right.
But one of my favorite things about the comedy in this movie, and practically the other ones too, pretty much the other ones too, is the comedy always fits with the movie really well. It always blends in. There's never like these stopping points that feel like they're using this moment to say a joke.
Right.
It just feels like the jokes are being said. You know, it never feels like there's a part in the movie that is actually used for a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, a lot of the movies in the series, well, pretty much all of them, they're pretty like I'm gonna say lighthearted, but they're not exactly lighthearted because they inject comedy in there.
Yeah.
So it's not like a completely dark and gritty kind of action movie. it's pretty lighthearted. I don't know any other way to say that, but at the same time, it's not like just like throwing jokes all over the place.
Yeah,
it's used in the right places, and the jokes flow with everything really well.
Yeah, and it's kind of how I feel like Marvel should kind of do their jokes, because I know this guy who I've told I don't like the Marvel humor. He's like, oh, you just don't like jokes anywhere. You want it to be dark, no jokes at all. I don't mind jokes in action movies, in these serious movies that have like all these action scenes. But whenever Mission Impossible does it, it's seamless. It's literally just people telling you jokes. And in a lot of Marvel movies, they'll usually, when they say a joke, they usually like stop in the middle of the scene to just say this joke, and then it fit well. This movie, the comedy is pretty seamless, and it's actually, there's not a whole bunch of it. So you can tell that they really think about these jokes because they're all funny, you know. In some movies that have a lot of jokes, some of them will hit, some of them will miss, because they realize we're going to have a lot of jokes. So some of them will hit and miss. But this one really pays attention to the jokes that it actually has.
And this movie is probably one of the most suspenseful movies I've seen this year, with the action like we talked about earlier, everything that happened. There's so many like twists and turns, which we won't get into, but there's just so much that happens in this movie. And that's another thing about this, about Mission Impossible Fallout, is that you have to pay attention to a lot of it, because like it's pretty much nonstop. Like once the movie like begins, you have to pay attention, because there's not much downtime. It's just like there's a lot of kinetic energy to this movie that just keeps pushing the movie forward. And the acting from everybody, like Tom Cruise, obviously is going to do pretty well. Which actually I want to bring up about him doing his own stunts. He actually broke his ankle doing one of the stunts, and I actually read that the scene where he actually broke the stunt that he actually broke his ankle. It's actually in the movie, like the actual like footage where he broke his ankle. Yeah, and they had to like stop. They had to stop production for like 6 or 8 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
But and then Henry Cavill. I mean, I like him as Superman. I love him as Superman. But in this movie, he did freaking fantastic.
Oh, it was great.
Like he really surprised me. Even though I loved him as Superman, he still surprised me how well he did.
Yeah. There's this amazing fight scene in like a bathroom.
Oh yeah, it's in the trailers.
Yeah, it's in the trailers a little bit. That fight scene was amazing.
Yeah, freaking Henry Cavill like reloading his arms.
Yes, I love that. I remember when I saw the trailer, I'm like, man, I can't wait to see that part of the movie. For some reason, it's been like slapping his arms. Like,
which in the trailer they like make a noise.
Yeah.
Which in the movie there's no noise. Obviously, it was a little cheesy, but I don't know. That whole scene was amazing.
And those are kind of some of the more obvious things that you can see by watching this movie. But another great thing about this movie is the character of Ethan Hunt. They really kind of delve into him a little bit, because in this movie they talk about it a lot. He's kind of like a crazy person,
right? You
know, he doesn't he knows what danger is, but I don't really think you can tell. They kind of show he never really feels it. You know, he never really completely understands, or if he does understand, he never really cares. They kind of show him like he doesn't really care about himself that much, you know, that he almost seems kind of crazy. Right. And they really have some heartfelt scenes with him and about him as a character that they really dig deep into him in this movie.
I think what helps add on to what Ethan Hunt's character is that the villain from this movie, which I think what's the actor's name? Sean Harris.
Yeah,
he was the villain from the 5th movie, and he's on this movie too. And like I just love that character, and like the actor does like fantastic, and just like the relationship between his character and Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise's character, I just love the whole thing. And one great thing about this movie that I noticed throughout was that the music, which was composed by Lauren Wolf, was just freaking amazing. Like there's a lot of it was how to do with like percussions, but like just the action scenes and everything, it just like kept the scene suspenseful.
And speaking of music, they knew how to use music, but then a really important tool, I feel like, of filmmaking is knowing when to not use music. A lot of people have done it. M. Night Shyamalan did it in The Sixth Sense. One of the end scenes was just really fantastic. But in this movie, it kind of it uses it to create a realism and kind of more towards focus on the characters, you know, and not on the chase itself. And because there's a car chase whenever there's a girl on a motorcycle and Tom Cruise, and there was a big portion of that chase where there was no music at all, and I really like that choice. Now, this movie was so good, but I didn't really have anything that I didn't like about it. I'm not gonna say. I did have my slight nitpicks. I will say one of them right now. The other one's kind of a spoiler, so I'll save that for in a little bit. But my first one is maybe like the first 30, maybe 40 minutes. I felt like the editing between scenes felt a little awkward and kind of threw the pacing off at times. I'm going to bring up my second complaint, and that's a spoiler. So if you don't want to hear that, go to this timestamp right here, so you can go past the spoilers and get to our grades. Probably my second thing is the fact that, and this is a really big nitpick, but it's just because it's something that movies kind of overuse a lot, and they do it a lot of times. So the end of the movie, there's a bomb that's about to go off, and the timer set like 15 minutes. And they keep going back to the timer, and it's like after a while it goes to like 5 minutes, 10 minutes and like 7 minutes. And while you're watching, you're like, there's no way that all of this took place in only 15 minutes. It had to have at least been like 20, maybe 30 minutes. There's no way to only take 15 minutes all this time.
Yeah, and also the fact that it always comes down to the very last second.
Yeah.
Like, I just want a movie where they just they get it done like 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. No.
Well, we're done with that.
And I know it's like this suspension building, but it just after a while it just kind of becomes a tiring thing, and you don't really want to see it again. You're going to, but you don't want to see it again. And after a while, I really feel like that right there should kind of be changed. At least make the time longer. Give them like 30 minutes, maybe that become more believable. Right. But it's 15, and whenever it got to 10 minutes, I was like, there's no way that was only 5 minutes, And that wasn't like anything that is a very big nitpick, in all honesty. Like that's a really big nitpick, because that honestly didn't really take that much of enjoyment away from the movie. It just kind of went past my suspension of belief with the movie. Overall, guys, this movie is fantastic. It really has done something unspeakable, this entire franchise, making a 6th movie, and it's still being good, and having 6 movies, only one of them being considered a bad film. Very fantastic fight scenes, right to the bone, and very great acting from everybody overall. Great performances, amazing characters. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Mission Impossible Fallout is 90% awesome.
There's nothing really that bad that I can say about this movie. I mean, I guess some people could say that there's a few story elements that seem familiar, but overall it was just so well crafted, well directed, well choreographed. The stunt work, the special effects, the acting, everything was just phenomenal. So I'm gonna say that Mission Impossible Fallout is 91% awesome.
Well, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know how you feel about Mission Impossible Fallout. Also, tell us what your favorite Mission Impossible movie is. Maybe even rank them all in order.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.